I was recently invited to have the opportunity to write about health and wellness for a local publication for lawyers and for people that are seeking lawyers. Here is that article. I'm going to read it, improvise a little bit, and then I'm going to start touching on our next topic, which will be mediation and the threshold for whether or not you should be eligible to mediate through the courthouse. And I want to illustrate the absurdity of that threshold, perhaps bleeding into the next podcast episode. Here we are. Health and wellness means something more than everything. Health and wellness, health and well-being, health and healing are phrases bandied about by my colleagues. They are fungible and seem almost tangible, save for the fact that they are supposed to have a deeper meaning. And yet, we cannot quite put our collective fingers on those subtle vibrations. It should come as no surprise. We live in turbulent times. Artificial intelligence has taken the world and the American economy by storm. We have been warned by the creators of AI that a white-collar job apocalypse is on the horizon. Also the topic of my last podcast, which I think is a really interesting one. If you're not familiar with the intersection of AI and law, I highly recommend you listen. No, it is almost to our doorsteps. There are global conflicts and conflagrations in places such as the Middle East, creating a sense of unease and uncertainty, i.e., Cuba, i.e., Venezuela, i.e., Taiwan. Politics has torn personal and professional relationships asunder in the United States. It is hard to remember a time when the legal profession has enjoyed more relevance and importance in society. Team all above that touched upon subjects and societal undercurrents, and we have a recipe for stress. While your dear writer, now speaker, of course, cannot control cortisol levels or offer literal prescriptions for medications, nor can I suggest the perfect exercise regimen, although I have my thoughts on that, I can discuss health and wellness in our daily lives by offering some personal anecdotes and extrapolations of wisdom to share with my colleagues. Lest we remember, health and wellness is a two front battle, mental and physical, and the twain shall always meet. It is not hard to imagine that these are lean times for small and solo law firms. Couple this with all of the subjects touched on and many more, and yours truly found himself astonished with the universal vitriol in 2026. My New Year's resolution? Toughen up, be bolder, more assertive, less afflicted by negativity. Seems like a lawyerly goal to aspire to. The intellectual rigors of lawyering cannot be overstated. By the way, ladies and gentlemen, I used to write almost every single day a different article about politics, about film, about law, something, but not recently. Reading my own writing is not quite as easy because there's a different translation when you speak and then it becomes transcribed versus writing something and then speaking it out loud. It actually takes practice, and I'm doing this extemporaneously. How can we match the psychological goals and aspects of our jobs with a matching physical component? Here's my personal anecdote. Losing weight has multiple components, none of which are particularly enjoyable. I can tell you, losing weight often makes people feel sick, and with good reason. The factors listed above are a recipe for stress eating. Again, the politics, the vitriol in law. Radical shifts in dieting are rare. They're not impossible with the right willpower. Taking the mantra, depending on whether or not you're from New York, of strengthening one's resolve can be applied to health and wellness. Recently, I decided to walk further and farther. And I wrote it as further and farther because I honestly never know which one to use. Farther than is for comparative purposes, further is to measure distance, and yet farther can measure distance while being comparative. For variety, I choose different locales with different scenery for every morning walk. Some locations are literally an uphill battle, while others are more serene and beatific to calm the mind, hence walking by lakes and flagpoles and things like that. The commonality with each walk is listening to podcasts. I mentioned parenthetically that headphones and earbuds are optional, though I highly recommend it. People get very aggravated if you're listening to sports or politics and they have to listen to it. No, dear readers, colleagues, mine, your writer, hence speaker, is not recommending caustic political podcasts. There are thousands of other incredible weekly podcasts available on Apple and Spotify. Podcasts about love and relationships, football, baseball, basketball, hockey, traveling, wrestling. Yes, I love WWE and sometimes AEW. If you're familiar with those, again, don't judge. Not only do those podcasts help the walk seem fuller and shorter, they are also enriching to the mind. What about television as a means of calming the nerves and taking a break from the breakneck pace of the action. So glad you asked. While maintaining a no prescriptions policy, it is easy to imagine the benefits of having a streaming platform to enjoy all of your old favorite shows to calm down, while always seeking new shows to become classics. Television has become a refuge for mid-level actors struggling to find profitable film roles. As streaming opportunities in TV grew exponentially. More TV shows to consume, more actors to enjoy, more ways to take our minds off the daily grind. Even better is the fact that so many incredible performers have now entered into television, sensing that the movie industry is dying. Immersing oneself in a show during lunch, a workout, downtime at night can take the edge off. The takeaway about addressing health and wellness is an all of the above approach. There may be no one panacea, but a combination of treatments can reduce your stress and help you find some balance. The business of lawyering is an endless struggle where intellectual curiosity meets the evolution of thought. Businesses are changing in ways we never expected. When stress compounds and our health and wellness are in doubt, take solace in the byproduct of all those changes. More outlets for our stress, more outlets to help cure, treat, diagnose, reduce our stress. That is it. Ladies and gentlemen, it turns out I went on for so long that now I'm going to save the mediation threshold through the courthouse for our next episode. Thanks for listening.